Hello, this is Dr. Ross, and this is a video presentation on movements of joints. We've previously talked about structural and functional classifications of joints as well as the different synovial joints. And in this presentation, we're going to talk about how they move. This is a presentation for my class as well as Dr. Camp's Anatomy and Physiology 1. So first let's talk about flexion and extension, the first type of movement in this presentation. So flexion is simply the movement of a portion of the body away from anatomical position along or within the sagittal plane. Extension is the movement back to anatomical position, again in the sagittal plane. And hyperextension is when you continue extension, so the same movement to make the extension past anatomical position. So we're going to look at these examples using a few images. So here we're looking at someone moving their head. If they move their head forward, that is flexion. Moving it back to anatomical position is extension. Continuing that movement backward is going to be hyperextension. So taking this arm as an example, we're moving the forearm at the elbow. If we move it toward the body, that is flexion. Moving the forearm back is extension. Here we're looking at a hand. Moving it toward the body or away from anatomical position is flexion. Moving it back to the starting point is extension, but continuing to move it beyond that point in the same direction is hyperextension. Here we're looking at movement of the leg at the knee, so moving it away from anatomical position is flexion, returning it back to anatomical position, extension. And then here we have someone doing lateral flexion, which is movement of the spine laterally from the midline of the body. Now let's talk about abduction and adduction. Abduction is movement away from the body, some part of the body along the coronal plane, whereas adduction is movement toward the body or together, okay? So in one way to think about this is when you abduct something, you take it away. So if you're moving the arm, if you're abducting the arm, you're moving it away from the body or apart from the body. When you adduct it, you add that arm back in, so that is like adding it back to the person or the body. So here we go, we're looking at arm. So if we move it away from the body, we are abducting. When we move it back toward the body, we are adducting. Here with the hand, again, remember how the hand is in anatomical position. If we move it away from the body, it's abduction. If we move it toward the body, it's adduction. Same with the leg. Movement away from the body, abduction. Toward the body, adduction. And the same with the fingers. If we spread our fingers apart, we are abducting them. When we move them back together, we are adducting them. Finally, let's talk about rotations. So here we are looking at rotation of the head. And so this is just rotation in one or the other direction. You can also rotate the arm or the forearm at the elbow. You're also rotating the upper portion of the arm as well. So this is lateral rotation when we're moving it away, and medial rotation as we move it back to the medial, closer to the medial portion of the body. The same with legs. If we take our foot and turn our foot out using our leg, we are doing lateral rotation. So think your toes are moving laterally. And when we move back or move inward, we are doing a medial rotation because we are moving our toes back toward the medial line of the body. And then with the arm, it's slightly different. We have pronation and supination. So pronation is moving the arm toward the body. Supination is moving the arm or twisting the arm away. So in supination, your palm is up, and if you were holding your palm up higher, you could be holding something in it. I like to think of soup because it has supination. If you pronate, you're going to drop that soup on the floor because now your palm will be facing down. You can also do circumduction, and so we see this in our ball and socket joints. So circumduction of the shoulder and circumduction at the hip, and this is just moving the arm or leg in a fully circular motion. Now let's talk about the movements of the various other movements I haven't discussed. So we have depression and elevation. This is movement in a superior or inferior direction. So here you see a man pushing his shoulders down. That's a depression of the shoulders, or elevation, moving the shoulders up. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion have to do with ways to flex the foot. Here we see movement of the toes toward the body is dorsiflexion. Movement away as if to point the toe is plantar flexion. We can also move the foot in two other ways. You can have eversion, that's moving the outer portion of the foot upward, or inversion, that's moving the inner step, your instep on your foot upward. Protraction and retraction, this is an anterior or posterior movement. So here you see a protraction of the chin or mandible forward, or retraction, moving it back. Finally, opposition, and this happens at the thumb. So this is the thumb, excuse me. This is movement of the thumb to touch the fingertip as shown here. And that is it for this presentation. Thank you.